Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. So you have that dynamic culture. I think you're doing amazing things with teaching it, connecting it to your personal stories, yourself, but then also helping your players to really live it out. How does that drive your performance?
Man, leadership, like I said, everything that we do comes from, well, are the one or two people or 5 or 10 people, are you leading them well based on what you're doing? Because you have influence. It's either positive or negative. You're telling them to go less hard, or you're telling them that I need to pick it up based on just what you're doing in that drill, how you're communicating. So that's biggest, that they know how to lead themselves well. And that's in practice, in games, in season, out of season. Like we people come play open gym, they're like, man, we're getting after it. And I say, yeah, that's what we do. Like, we're not going to play pickup unless we're getting after it. We're not going to practice unless we're getting after it. That's just what we do. And they kind of have figured that out, that's the expectation. That's how I lead, is by doing those things. And what's awesome is if the 2 or 3 people that aren't playing hard, you seem like sore thumbs. Like, you are not leading yourself well, and as long as we have more kids leading themselves well than not, then it always ends
that
up
peer
fine.
Pressure will go the right way. Yep.
Yes, and so that's kind of been our culture. But then this last year, that really has changed, I think, our efficiency on the floor and changed our performance. We're talking about culture driving performance, is just culture of competitiveness in practice. And 80% of everything we do has some sort of number, some sort of consequence. But I forget where I got this, but we started assigning point values to different statistics. Now, please note that you have to have an outstanding student manager keep the score right, or make a coach do it, because it's really hard. But just give whatever given drill you want, and team drill, 3-on-3, short-sided game, whatever. You can go, my focus today wants to be on offensive rebounds. So you can go +1 for an offensive rebound. So a kid can get a rebound, kick out. That's a 4-point swing.
Yep.
Maybe you're turning over the ball too much, -1. And, at most time we run either 2 down and backs in a 22, or we'll run sideline to sideline. We'll do 8 and 28, or we'll do 16 in a minute. And if you want to really get some point across, do 12-minute drill. Whichever team loses this, 16 in a minute. You will see more offensive rebounds. Nobody will turn the ball over. It's awesome, because then those things are connected to the score directly in this practice. And so we've done that. Taking off a point for not executing a play. Maybe we're playing too slow. Hey, you score in the first 8 seconds of a possession and we're playing down and back, +1.
Yeah.
Hey, we're playing really slow, +2. But you got to think about this. -1 if it's a bad shot. I don't care if you even make it.
Yeah.
You take a shot, it's a bad shot. Coach, I'm trying to get those extra points I don't care. We don't take bad shots, right? And like I said, we went over bad shots. We talked about gold nugget from Pillar. We started every film. I'll puddle, helps you so much, field goals. And I go in 8 seconds, that shot, that's a 7, that's a 6, that's an 8, that's a 5, that's a 3. And then, then we have the breakdown for them. This is what that shot is. So they know. And then for me, because I'm a defensive guy, -1 if you foul with your hands on the ball, hate that. And then +3 for a charge. But literally, you can do anything you want in practice that you want to see a desired result. Just make them compete, and then put point values on it. +3 for a charge, it's huge, because that's actually really +4. It's -1 for a turnover and +3 for a charge.
That's a big swing.
And I got a couple kids that they will avoid charges.
Coach, you get
not then.
You get a charge, you get that 4-point swing, and then you get an offensive rebound, kick 3, Coach. That's 8 points.
Oh,
right there.
Yeah. And what's funny is, like, I've got those everybody can lead guys, those bench guys.
Yeah.
And these drills, they dominate.
Yeah.
Because they know what wins. And then they end up getting minutes and make huge plays for us kid that's averaging 2 points, taking a huge charge and getting a huge offensive rebound, and it helps us win. But that's what's driven us is just competing and finding ways to through that competition to really like this is what matters. This is what wins.
Coach, I love that idea of emphasizing or putting more emphasis on certain things that really will lead your team to winning. And I think it's good to do all year long, not just, but I really thought, okay, early on, when you're the early stages of execution, learning your flow, it may be hard to have emphasis on some of those areas because there's a little bit more of this bike riding time. Like get past it next. But I think that's also, it's really useful mid-season when we are using scrimmage time or small sided games, whatever, to get better at execution on either side. But you start to really learn with your team, where are we deficient? Like we are giving up a ton of offensive because I love that about both of those is it's both sides.
You gotta block out.
So, but I think you start to see like maybe we're not really a high turnover team, but I need to put a lot of emphasis on speed of play. So there is going to be a clock, or we have to pass across half court. We get an extra. So I love that idea of emphasizing those things mid-season, where like instead of just, which I think happens, we watch it in film, and then we'll maybe throw out some, hey, remember, we're focusing on our turnovers today. Like that's great. Exactly. It's better than nothing. But what you're talking about, I think, will lead them to the results you want even quicker.
And let me make some parameters. If anybody wants to implement this, I only do two or three max. Like I will only make 3 rules because I don't want the focus to be for that 12-minute drill. And we only do it. I usually only do this in a most of the time in a 5-on-5 setting. Like they're focused on playing, but then they're like in executing. But they're also like, oh, well, what if I go crash the boards right here? I can get an extra point. And so it's I don't usually do it in short-sided games. Like I said, we run in everything: shooting, free throws, defense. Another one that I really enjoy. This has nothing to do with points, but I'm a defensive. We do a got to get 3 stops in a row drill.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, there's just ways to make kids compete and do those things. But yeah, it definitely is not an early on. And if it isn't early on in practice or in the year, it's the last thing that I do. We've worked on this, and this, and this. Now let's go compete. But remember, it's -1 for a turnover in this drill. And so then it like, okay, I got to execute and I got to do this right, but also got to take care of the ball. And those things kind of, and then, like later on in the year, hey, this is the drill. And then you can go, hey, we need to play a little faster. So you score the first 8 possessions, but you take a bad shot and then, or you foul in this situation, then you're losing points. And then now we're thinking and playing the right way and doing the right things. But definitely early in the year, you got to be very careful with how many you put on them.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that I've borrowed from all these talks is from Dan Lee. He talked about the 100-point game. And I put that in with my guys, and it's just where they basically have the as soon as they secure possession, the 30 seconds begins. And if they score in 4 seconds, they just scored 26 points.
Oh yeah.
If they, and then it goes through the net. The other team, the 30 seconds begins. Obviously, turnovers negate your ability to actually get points on the board. But I think I could even with that do something more off because I do think like next year's team for us, it's going to be one of the biggest teams we've ever had.
Oh wow.
But we're
reward for paint touches or post ups.
See, I think we're going to have to figure out what winning looks like to us. It may not look like some of the teams we've had in the past, like this last year's team that made 433. I don't know if we're doing that, but we can just really kill it on the boards. And you and I both know, like every time we get an offensive rebound, our shooting percentage just starts to go, like all of a sudden we're going to become a better shooting team when we do that. And but back to the 100-point game, I do think it's fun as coaches, like getting creative with your scoring system, games like score, stop, score, where we're really working on getting those strings together.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that's the fun way of practicing that. Get your point across without talking to death. It's a way to
Yeah.
get
Oh yeah.
what
No,
you
yeah.
emphasize without having to yell about it.
Yes. Let the scores and the running do all the talking. It's not too hard. Yeah, if, I can be a fiery guy, but I really think you have to be a teacher, and there's certain things that teach. And I don't know who quote this. It might have been in the Super Mario Brothers movie I just watched with my kids, but he said pain is the greatest teacher. So you don't want to almost throw up and your legs to be tired, then you better go win.
Was that
And you better.
King Koopa? What was his
I
name?
think that was right. Yeah.
I watched that too with my boys, and as a huge Mario fan, I don't know, it was a little underwhelming for me. I apologize
Really,
for anybody. Yeah,
they brought up a lot of nostalgic things. So they
yeah.
did a good job, like just little pieces. The storyline was anywhere and everywhere, but
That's I
um,
think my problem. It's
they
just
did. I mean, I get it. It's like it's already a weird story. So
yeah,
two
yeah.
plumbers fell through a pipe and they end up in a different world. It's already a weird story.
And
You
he
made it
was
even
in love
weirder.
with the princess. Like I forgot all those things, but no. Anyway, thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.